Thank you all. Welcome to My Little Black Dress. We've got a short program involving showing off models sponsored by White House Black Market, but more importantly, we have an opportunity to learn about Interval House and learn about the good work that they're doing and how we can continue to support the things that they're doing. As we said, this is a party, but it's a party with a purpose, to steal something from a famous DJ. So we hope that you give us your attention, have a good time this evening, but also be engaged by the discussions that we will have. We'll have brief comments from the Interval House, another special speech/presentation. We'll recognize some sponsors. We'll have our fashion show with models, and then we'll have a good time. Simple as that. So why don't we get started? My name is Greg Jones. I am the chairman of the Omega Foundation and also the chairman of the Skins and Pens Golf Group. Haven't played golf in a long time, almost forgetting how to say the word. Chairman of the Skin in the Game Foundation, the two co-sponsors of this particular event. And the reason that we decided to do this particular event called My Little Black Dress, it really was to bring attention to speak out against domestic abuse and also support Interval House. As I've learned from my colleagues at Interval House, 91% of all the abuse occurs with males, but not all males are abusers. So what a great way for a group of guys with a fraternal relationship as well as a golf club to talk about domestic abuse and bring attention to it. So we're glad that you're here with us so that we might learn more, be more proactive, and address the issues that, or the ills that harm us when it comes to domestic abuse. So I'm going to introduce Cecile Enrico to start our program. Cecile has been involved with Interval House since its founding over 36 years ago. She has worn every hat there, from crisis counselor to police training. For more than 25 years, she's been the executive director. Her leadership has made Interval House not only the largest domestic violence agency in the state, but a safe place and a source of transformation in the lives of thousands of women and children over the years. Cecile is an icon in the field of domestic violence, including recognition by President Reagan, among others. So we're proud to join her as Interval House as our community partners. We welcome Cecile to come forward and give us a few words, talk about the history that she knows best at Interval House. Give a warm round for Cecile Enrico.
Thank you, Greg. As you heard, I'm Cecile Enrico, Executive Director of Interval House. I'd like to thank Greg and all the organizations for tonight's event for selecting Interval House as its beneficiary and for giving us the opportunity to tell you about my personal story of abuse and to share with you the work that we do at Interval House. During the 60s and 70s, I was in a very violent marriage. My husband, Tony, would hit, kick, and choke me. This happened many times throughout the week, and I was too frightened to call the police. And at that time, the police didn't make arrests on domestics. They did not even consider domestic violence a crime. There was no information about battered women and domestic violence. And there wasn't any information in the newspapers, women's magazines, and of course there was no internet. The term battered woman had not even been coined. I had never told a soul what was going on in my marriage. I didn't know what to do or where to go. So I stayed with the violence for 13 years. I felt totally alone with two small children, I was totally dependent on Tony as our financial provider. And Tony drank every day, and when he drank, he became mean and violent. So one Sunday, when praying in church, I noticed an ad in the church bulletin for an Al-Anon meeting. I eventually went and met other women in the same situation. I learned that I was not alone. I attended Al-Anon meetings for many years, gaining information about alcoholism and enabling behavior. I gained the strength and support to take the steps to free myself and my children from our living nightmare. Finally, I gained the courage to call the police. And I took steps that I never thought I was capable of. But when I did call the police, I had hoped for help and support. But instead, the police in the court system made me feel like I did something wrong. So I decided then that I wanted people to know that victims are not the problem. We needed help, not more abuse. So an Al-Anon friend and I started a support group for battered women. And the group Women Share is actually still running today. From that group, we built what is now known today as Interval House. And Interval House is Connecticut's largest domestic violence intervention and prevention organization, providing safety, support, education, and outreach to 24 towns in and around Hartford. We have a shelter facility in Hartford and 2 satellite offices, one located in Manchester, the other one in Simsbury. For 35 years, it has been the mission of Interval House to do one thing: break the cycle of family and intimate partner abuse. We are about saving lives, giving a voice, and changing the future. Last year, we provided direct services to over 6,000 victims of domestic violence through our 24-hour hotline, crisis hotline, 20-bed emergency shelter, civil and criminal court advocacy programs, crisis counseling, support groups for adults and children. All our services are free from cost for anyone needing them. Last year, we provided shelter to 293 women and children and responded to 12,739 hotline calls from victims in crisis. And through our community education and awareness programs, and of course, our Men Make a Difference, Men Against Domestic Violence initiative, we reached nearly 40,000 people. We believe strongly that education and prevention are keys to breaking the cycle of domestic violence. We know that 71% of male abusers witness or experience domestic violence as a child growing up. The 225 children who were sheltered and participated in our safety and confidence building programs. My hope for the future, and I'm sure it is yours, is one where domestic violence is considered completely unacceptable and preventable. We must teach men, women, and children that domestic violence in all its forms is wrong. It may be unrealistic to think that we can completely prevent domestic violence and that the need for places like Interval House will go away. But we can try. And the best way to do that is by coming together as you have this evening as a community strong and resolute in our common goal. Once again, I want to thank you all for being here this evening to support Omega as they partner with Interval House in this vital community issue. I know you will agree with me that by working together, we can accomplish our goals at Interval House of having empty beds, silent phones, and a door that is closed forever. Thank you. Now I'm going to introduce you to Rosemary Pt1, our Director of Development. Among her many contributions to the agency, she is responsible for starting Men Make a Difference, Men Against Domestic Violence Initiative, and co-chairs it with Senator Richard Blumenthal. I'm going to ask her to come up and share a message from the Senator.
And thank you all for being here. Cecile is always a really tough act to follow, but I'm actually representing Senator Blumenthal tonight, so it's a little easier to follow her. She's an amazing woman, and it's our pleasure to work with her and have her lead us in this fight. Senator Blumenthal, as you know, is a friend of Interval House. He's been with us for many years, and we co-founded Men Make a Difference, Men Against Domestic Violence almost 4 years ago. And unfortunately, he could not be here this evening. He's certainly with us in spirit and in his heart. And I'm going to ask Greg to come up because he did send something that he wanted me to read, and I'm going to present it to Greg. Thank you. You're an amazing man as well. This man is wonderful. So this is a letter from Senator Blumenthal, and it is dated today. Dear friends, I'm pleased to welcome you to the My Little Black Dress event for Interval House, a tremendous organization that comforts and cares for women and children who have experienced domestic abuse. I have been a longtime supporter of their meaningful work as a driver of social change. Founded by 3 groups of pioneering women in 1977, Interval House has been a leader in breaking the cycle of family abuse. It provides a safe and secure place and life-saving services for anyone seeking help. Through counseling, education, and community resources, the staff and volunteers work tirelessly to end the cycle. Interval House makes it a priority to educate children so that they will be less likely to repeat what they have seen or experienced. In the fall of 2009, Interval House initiated Men Make a Difference, Men Against Domestic Violence, which I have been honored to help form and continue to lead. Our goal is to provide positive role models for young men and boys and raise awareness about the destructive impacts and harm caused by abuse in the home. I send my gratitude to the supporters of tonight's event and especially to the Omega Foundation of Hartford. Your dedication to serving the greater Hartford community in closing disparities in education and health awareness is to be commended. Together we can work to break the cycle of domestic abuse and create a new tradition, one that is rooted in community-wide support. And it's signed sincerely, Richard Blumenthal, U.S. Senator. And I'm going to present you with the award.
Well, thank you, Senator, in his absence. Thank you, Rosemary. Thank you, Cecile. I really appreciate it.